We were a Diet Pepsi household, but Coca-Cola, like a regular soda, it definitely always drank Coca-Cola. And
yeah, that's pretty shitty of you to not rep Coke in all ways living in Georgia.
I've been to the museum twice. It's interesting.
Although I haven't gotten a Bud Light product in a long time, and we were trained here to like that blue can, and then yeah, and then now it's insane. Every fucking grocery store here has quadrupled the amount of Miller and Coors they have sitting out. Like, I was walking in a grocery store today, picking stuff out, and I was passing to get to the bread and whatnot, and there's this giant display of Miller Lite. There are never Miller Lite displays in bush country. Like, never, ever. I don't think I've ever seen one, and they're just there now.
I heard on the radio yesterday, I had to drive back, so I hired a huge moving truck, bunch of guys, but they couldn't get it all. And they had another client booked. It's $300 more to like do another trip. And I'm like, fuck yeah, that ain't bad. They got other clients. They're gone. So I had to drive back and forth, a 30-minute drive 4 times.
All today?
Yesterday. It was awful. At night, after working all day, all sweaty and just...
Ugh. You're done now?
I'm done now. I got to unpack boxes. But what I was going to say is I listened to the radio all that time. I heard an Anheuser-Busch commercial, which I'd never heard such a thing before. They're going straight to the top. Oh, this is it. We're Anheuser-Busch. Wait, what do you make? Don't worry about it for a second. Listen up. And the commercial was the entire assembly line or sort of product line of people who make their beer happen. And it started I caught the commercial like 10 seconds into it, so I don't know where it started, but the guy was like, "I'm Emilio, and I brew the beer." And the guy was like, "My name's John, and I'm a hop man, and my name's Bill, and I make sure the water's pure." And every step, all the ingredients of a beer, and every individual who's a professional who counts on beer sales to make sure that their job is secured. All these Americans, these women, men, and there was a Spanish guy in there too. He drove the forklift. I can't even make it up.
They're covering everything.
The only voice that wasn't white, black, or a woman, and you could definitely tell every step of the way, was Julio or Emilio, who drove the forklift. And he was like, I drive a forklift with the beer very carefully.
Yes, very carefully.
They will beat me if I do not. But at the end, it's like, we're Anheuser-Busch. We make beer. That's what we're about. It said that. And I was like, nah, it's not what you were about a couple months ago. You're about all sorts of stuff. You had big ideas about what people should be thinking and doing. What are you talking about? Let's have a beer and talk about it.
Now you've made it so that if you are walking around with a Bud Light in the Midwest, you'll get bullied. Someone will be like, literally, it's become a meme, like it's become, you were so right early on with your prediction there that it was going to be so much more devastating for them than I thought. Like, I thought,
because I remember what it was like.
Much more. They're a joke. They're a total joke brand.
You remember what it was like growing up? The kid who had the off-brand shit, like who didn't have an excuse to. I'm not talking about picking on poor kids. I'm talking about like Michael picked that.
Yeah,
like why would he do that? Like, you would get bullied for picking some off-brand shit. And that's what Bud Light is now. It is the gay beer. It is, and that's the nice way to put it. I guarantee people are getting bullied everywhere or there's a little joke made. It's not even really bullying. It's that someone orders a Bud Light at a bar and someone goes, "Get a little gay beer, huh?" And they both joke about it. Nobody's mad, but everybody knows it. And somebody over the shoulder goes, "I don't."
Right?
Or I don't want to get bullied for the gay beer.
Those two jokes, let it slide. But then maybe next time he's like, "Well, I don't want to go through that."
Yeah.
And it's like a very easy. I think at this point it's permanent. Like they're very much a joke brand. At least the Bud Light banner itself. Bud Light is a joke meme brand now, where like it's funny to see someone. The reason someone would show up at a party with a 12-pack of Bud Light would be a joke. Like that would be the joke at this point of like, oh,
it would
what?
Be ironic.
No, yeah, they do that ironically, and it's a very easy product to switch to because unlike something that's wildly unique,
prediction,
they go, hey, you want to drink Miller or Coors? It's the exact same thing. Miller actually has less calories, and it's the exact same thing. The people who make that switch, there's no reason to go back. It's the same product.
There'll be a small spike in sales around Halloween because Bud Light will be part of a great costume this year. The Dylan Mulvaney costume. You'll need your 6-pack of Bud Light to carry around with you when you cross-dress for Halloween this year.
I have no expertise
probably
in this.
gonna
That will be
I
done.
do like what you're saying. I have no expertise, but I just feel like it'll pass. It usually does.
For
This one strikes at a group of
company.
people. It depends who you upset, right? Like if you make moms mad, I'll forget about that shit. Just keep your prices right. They got kids to feed. But you're making conservative dudes with spending money who weren't drinking it because of its taste to begin with. It's a cultural thing. It really was. Bud Light's kind of a working man's beer, and working men drink it because it's their beer. And they said, no, we're not your beer. We're the transsexual, silly fellow in the park dancing around and giggling with a moose knuckle beer. That's who we are, and we're proud as fuck of it. Until you guys, you don't like it? Okay, we back off, and then you see they don't have any principles. Their whole stance was just about money, and so then the left side starts saying, well, that's fucking disgusting. We were never going to drink your beer anyway, you big silly goats. So now they're stuck. I don't know. Remember,
my
New
prediction is based on Nike and back Colin Kaepernick, and they let it slide. Keurig did something, and the conservatives were throwing their fucking coffee makers off the balconies on.
Oh no,
YouTube.
this is so much bigger.
This
is bigger than any of those
Nike
things
shoes?
rolled up, aggregated. Like
Nike it'd be like if Carhartt did something, or John Deere did something, or Red Man chewing tobacco. Like if one of those products was like, we're here, we're queer, we're coming for your kids, they're donezo. Nobody's gonna wear.
Yeah.
Let
me disagree, because I have a
car.
counterpoint. The things you mentioned, Carhartt, John Deere, I don't know what else you said, but they get by on the quality of their product. Red Wing boots. And if they say, hey, we're the official boot of trannies, then someone who needs good boots might not switch. But Bud Light, from what Taylor tells me, is not getting by on the quality of its product. It was always branding. So that when they ruin the branding, people have an easy time leaving.
It's more that way, but also like
people wear.
Kyle's right. Yeah.
Wranglers, Justin boots, and a Carhartt jacket is a costume that rednecks wear to show their conservatism, their traditionalism, their patriotism, their hardworking blue collar redneck. That is the costume you wear. The same way that some other people would wear Nikes and some other things that they might wear. Don't ever need to go down that road. But
I have a Carhartt coat. Colin does too. We have a couple of them. They're fantastic. And the line that they pitch that like other people can make them brown, but only we can make them Carhartt. I'm like, yeah, you're right. I'm super thrilled with that coat.
You're not their target demo though. You're a Yankee. You're just looking for the best jacket you can find. They said, I'm telling you,
for when I do work stuff.
There is especially with Carhartt, Kyle's 100% right. There's a culture around it. If they came out and did a Bud Light thing, they would take a fucking smoking. Would
everyone switch to Dickies?
They would switch to whatever the closest alternative is. And because like at the end of the day, there are plenty of durable outdoor clothing companies. Like they would switch to something else. And immediately fucking Daily Wire would do some grift where they'd be like, time for ultimate summit sportswear for Americans with flags on it.
Shapiro in a Carhartt looking jacket.
My new Pilgrim pants jacket.
It's $600 and it'll arrive in 12 to 14 months.
Maybe
finish building and making and manufacturing.
John Deere is the other one he said. I think John Deere gets by on the quality of their products. And it's not just a brand. They have a dealer network and a quality of product and there aren't any holes in what you can run a whole farm, any farm. I don't care if you have chickens, wheat, corn, or potatoes. John Deere will give you everything you need from top to bottom to be a farmer.
I'm just talking about those things that are cultural products and those are cultural products. The John Deere thing is kind of unique because they did the whole thing with their dealer network and they squished Ford out of Ford. There are no Ford dealerships. It's all John Deere.
John
everywhere.
Deere is like uniquely pretty secure with their.
And even when those dealerships were losing money, they're like, no, you're staying fucking open. We're John Deere. We're everywhere.
And we need to maintain our total market share of what we do, even if it's a loss for a bit, which is important.
I don't know where you get. I'm sure there's Husqvarna dealers, but I don't know where one is. I know right where to go to John Deere if I need a tractor.
You mentioned new coat.
I agree.
Did you that new Coke switch was, I think this is like common knowledge now. It was like a total, like a way to trick people into not noticing that they switched from sugar to corn syrup. So they take Coke off the market. They bring out new Coke. It sucks. They bring classic Coke back with corn syrup instead of sugar, and people go, yay.
Do you think that was the plan from the get-go? They didn't mean to introduce a bad Coke.
Yeah. They introduced that in order to make it less obvious that you're pivoting from sugar, which is the same reason that Mexican Coke is so good. Like if they would have made that switch instantly, sugar to corn syrup, you get noticed right away. And so you've switched to a different product that sucks intentionally, run a short run of it, and then switch to the new product, which saves you a shit ton of money at the old flavor that's close enough.
I can't buy it. I was around for the new Coke introduction and the ad blitz for new Coke and the excitement. Everyone wanted to see it. There were these Coca-Cola wars between Coke and Pepsi. I can't think of another A versus B comparison that was the same level of just like cultural dominance. You know, everyone, are you a Coke guy, a Pepsi guy? What are you? We went on a field trip in my school to see a Pepsi bottling company. You know, it was like everywhere. And when they came out with new Coke, it really seemed like they were trying to give you a better Coke because it was losing the taste tests to Pepsi.
I think it was just a smart business move to like trick consumers and save a bunch of money. Pretty shrewd, but like I think they're they're a very smart company. Well, it wasn't
they got a ton of free media. Like I bet did they lose money in the end? Like the whole thing was this media storm. It's before my time, and I know about it. I know how big of a deal it was. Remember,
you get a second media storm at the end of it. Oh, they're bringing back Coca-Cola Classic, the favorite beverage of the planet. Like.
They're masters of marketing. I'm telling you, if you ever go
they're smart
to it next time you're in Atlanta and you want to waste $50, head over to the Coca-Cola Museum. Okay. They will show you a polar bears movie that'll make you wish it was a full movie and not 15 minutes of not a 15-minute commercial. And then they'll make you stand in line to walk into the vault where the recipe is kept in a box. You will see no recipe, of course. You will just stand in line to look at a safe deposit box, which is most assuredly empty. Then you'll be led to a back room at some point with concrete sticky floors where you'll meander past many 360-degree pedestals that dispense sodas from around the planet that
Thai
for whatever
lemon
reason,
Pepsi,
for whatever reason, the most powerful fucking economic force in existence. We don't have it here. They can only get it in Guatemala. It's the good stuff, though. Trust me. And you get to try like cinnamon fucking Coke and like all these ridiculous derivations. And at first you think it's cool. And then you realize a lot of these kiosks are the exact same 18 mystical flavors. Like it's just set up that way so everybody can have one. And then you actually see some glass bottles being made. It's a fucking nonsense. You see some machines make a few glass bottles, and then I don't even think they give you one for free. They might though. They might actually sell you a Coke at the end of the fucking tour.
Factory tour